You can say anytime. I mean, it's a traditional cookie, and it's like all-purpose flour and like cream of wheat, sugar, and butter.
And then you can top it with like nuts, like
nuts,
almonds or something.
yeah.
Just have like one on each. Like, you know, those shortbread cookies with like the kiss on top, just for decoration. So you'll have a little bit of like a little nutty flavor.
So it could be almonds or pistachio.
Yeah.
And if you don't like nuts, it could be raisins.
So before we popcorn to somebody else, everyone who just got here, we are discussing our favorite kind of cookie. And also, if you're just joining us and you want to share where you're dialing in from, that would be fun. And we'd also really appreciate it if you were on video so we could connect with you a little better. All right, up to our last speakers to choose our next.
Let's go with Emmy and Alana. Oh, you guys both shared already.
Well, Alana went. I didn't go.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe let's go to you.
I feel like it depends, but I really like butterscotch cookies, actually.
Ooh.
If done right, it can always be a little too sweet, so it's got to be just the right amount. But I like butterscotch cookies a whole lot. I think I'm going to popcorn to Sandra. Sandra, do you want to share?
I really don't have a favorite cookie. I like shortbread, but I don't have a favorite cookie.
Gotcha.
But I like shortbread.
Gotcha. So Sandra, you can pick someone else to share. And also if you want to, let us know where you're dialing in from. That's fun.
From Las Vegas.
Cool.
And I'm not sure who's all shared because I just came in. So I want to pick somebody who's already shared.
Gotcha. So we can
We
have.
can go.
Okay, sounds
We
good.
are from, this is my daughter, Sydney.
Hi.
And my name is Heath. And Mackenzie's going to be cooking along with us today. My favorite is actually like cutout cookies that you do for the holidays with some icing on them. And I never really had a shortbread cookie until recently, but they are really good too. Michelle's favorite cookies?
Cutout
cookies. And we are from Orlando, Florida.
Oh,
nice and warm.
oh yeah, we're missing that right now in Cincinnati. For sure. All right.
Yes, we used to live in Cincinnati, so we understand, yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, if anybody else wants to share, you can feel free. Go ahead.
I'll go. I'm Marilyn Barron from Atlanta, and my favorite cookies are mandel bread, which is like a Jewish biscotti.
Yeah.
But I also love shortbread cookies and the cookies we're going to make today. I've never made them myself, but I love them.
We haven't either. We're very excited.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else wants to share? Karen, go ahead.
Hi, I'm from Seattle and I'm Italian and I love pizzelles.
Mm. Good. All right.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, Sharon?
Okay. So my favorite cookie is something called Kourabiedes. And it's from my Turkish heritage. And I came on here to see how different or the same it is from Kourabiedes.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is with walnuts and stuff like that. And I love it and I make it all the time. And I'm from Tarrytown, New York.
Cool. So interesting. I feel like we're learning so much. Did we have anybody else who wanted to share? If not, that's totally okay. Whoever's comfortable.
Hi, I can go.
Hi.
I'm Amanda. Hi, Amanda. I'm in Munich, Germany. And my favorite cookie is a traditional cookie for Jewish holidays. It's a leaf cookie. I think it's just a sugar cookie with chocolate layer on the bottom.
That's my daughter. Amanda. Wow.
You know, we want to give a shout out to Amanda as a former teacher and chef who taught us how to make amazing meatballs.
We always love mother and daughter duos, which is why we're so happy to have Michelle and Blanca, our teachers, with us here today. If you weren't here, we'll introduce them first. If nobody else wants to share, we're totally ready to get started. If Michelle and Blanca are ready. Y'all ready?
Yes, we are
All
ready.
right.
So
Wait, before we start, just a
Oh,
quick
yeah.
sorry. If that's okay, Emmy and Alana, do you just want to quickly share like what is Tradition Kitchens, why we're here, and maybe our Zelfie, and then toss it over to Michelle and Blanca?
Yeah, sure. So Tradition Kitchens is basically a way to create community despite being so far apart right now by doing these cooking classes, and they're not as traditional as you've already seen in the sense that we get to like actually connect and meet who we're with and learn about different food from all over and also bake and cook with people from all over. So we're really excited to do that today. And we were also hoping to take a selfie, like a little Zoom selfie, so we can commemorate this very special Sunday really quick. So if everybody who wants to put their camera on, everyone who's comfortable, wants to put their camera on and smile, pose, whatever, we'll take a quick selfie. All right, everybody primed and ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Cute, okay, cool stuff. Anything you wanted to add? No?
I'll just say really quickly, thank you to Emmy and Alana. They're our Tradition Kitchens ambassadors. My name is Julia, and along with my mom, we started Tradition Kitchens. We used to be in person, but then we pivoted to online because that's the best way to connect right now. And we want to use the chat. So you have the Zoom chat on the right-hand side of your screen. And it's you can access it from the bottom bar. So we encourage you to ask questions. Emmy and Alana will be watching the chat and they'll be able to ask questions for you. Or if you feel like you want to unmute, that's great too. And you could ask our teachers questions. So this is all about engaging and connecting with each other. And I'll make one final plug. We would love to see everyone's faces. It builds our community. It makes us feel more connected, understand Darko that you aren't able to, but if anyone else is, we truly welcome it. We understand you have things going on in your background. You know, lots of us are all juggling a bunch of things, but just makes it better when we can see everyone's faces. So with that, I'll turn it to Emmy and Alana to officially get us started.
All right. So Blanca and Michelle, sorry for the brief interruption, but we are ready for you now.
Okay, so
I'm gonna turn on the oven while
yeah,
Michelle starts.
So the first step is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you hear a beeping sound, it's because our oven is over there and my mom is preheating it right now. So here we have all of our ingredients. I pre-measured them just to look more organized. I have 5 cups of just regular flour. My brother drew a smiley face in it with his finger. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is there smiling at me. We have 1 pound of room temperature butter. And then over here, I have a kitchen like scale. That's the word. It's like a kitchen scale. It's what I use to measure the 1 pound of almonds and the 1 pound of butter. Normally you can get butter in 8-ounce sticks though, so you can measure it that way as well. And so yes, we have our almonds, which we are going to slice with my very large and very menacing knife. I have 1.5 cups of powdered sugar separated into 1/2 cup and 1 cup, and the 1 cup I'm going to put to the side for later. I have 1 egg yolk in this adorable tiny little bowl that I didn't know we had until I was searching for one earlier today. And then I have vanilla extract and a teaspoon for measuring it later. So now that the oven is preheating, the first step is I'm going to take the room temperature butter. I'm gonna put it in the bowl and we're just gonna beat it. And for this recipe, you can't overbeat the butter. You just keep beating it. And yeah, you just, if you think you've been mixing it enough, you probably haven't, and you should keep mixing it. Like different recipes will say different things. I've seen some that say beat the butter for 20 minutes. I mean, I'm just gonna let it mix because we have to chop the almonds. So, but it should be light and fluffy and whipped by the time it's done. So it's very important to beat the butter because it gives the cookies like a nice kind of like more airy and like a lighter texture. Because the texture of these cookies is very kind of like light and crumbly, which is very nice. And then a tip that I learned for the kitchen mixer, KitchenAid, you never want to turn it from 0 to 10 like immediately, or else you can actually break it. So you want to turn it up more slowly and gradually. So I'm gonna put it at about an 8 out of 10. So
Real quickly, while that's mixing, we had a question in the chat about the email saying 2 egg yolks in 1 cup of powdered sugar, or is that not right?
I mean, there's lots of different recipes, a lot of different variations. Honestly, either one works. I mean, it's just a kind of thing where it's like a lot of it is personal preference. Like, if you want it sweeter, you can put more sugar. If you want it less sweet, you can put less sugar. We personally like them a little less sweet, so we put a little bit less of the sugar. We put only a half a cup. But really, it's up to you and whatever you feel is best. So.
Okay, cool.
And now that that's started mixing, I'm going to put in the 1 egg yolk because, I mean, and you don't even have to put in an egg yolk. There are plenty of recipes that don't have egg yolks in them.
One quick thing, Emmy and Alana, could you perhaps put the recipe in the chat for everybody so that they can have it as they follow along if they didn't get it?
Is it on? We have ingredients and we're gonna consolidate everything so they should get the recipe afterwards.
Okay, so just to clarify, we just sent everybody all the ingredients and then we're doing the recipe live. I think that's also part of our incentivization so that everybody comes, that we just don't give you the full thing. You have to hear the secret version from the chefs themselves. So just to clarify. Okay, let's keep going.
And then next I'm going to add in the 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So now the next step, while that is mixing, is to chop up our almonds into slivers. Here I have 1 pound of almonds. So I'm just gonna put them on my cutting board and start chopping away. So yeah. I like to do them in like large batches. That's probably a little bit too much, but I put them in a line like this and I just go down. Another alternative, if you don't want to chop the almonds, is you can actually put them in a blender and turn them into like an almond powder, and that works as well. I personally just like to chop the almonds so that they're a little bit kind of in larger chunks, creating kind of more like varied texture in the cookie. So again, it's a personal preference, but either way works.
So everyone who's cooking along with us, how are you doing? You might have sticky fingers, but if you're able to unmute or give us a thumbs up, looks like Mackenzie and Sydney and family are doing good. Sandra, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm using walnuts. Is that okay? Because I didn't have almonds.
Seems okay to me. Michelle and
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of recipes where you use almond extract instead of almonds, or you can use walnuts. I mean, it really, like, honestly, like, you can, like, there's a lot of different ways you can go with this recipe, and none of them are wrong. So,
Okay, thanks.
no problem.
we welcome all chefs. Sounds like we have a dog chef happening in one of our houses. As you're putting this together, can you tell us a little bit more about your family's connection to this recipe?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very international, very multicultural family. I grew up living with my grandma from my dad's side of the family and with both of my parents. And so my mother is from Mexico. My dad is from Germany, and my grandma is an Alexandrian Greek. So she was actually born and raised in Egypt, but culturally she is very Greek. She speaks Greek. We have her brother is currently living in Greece. He lives there, in Athens, about 6 months out of the year. And growing up, she would make us a lot of Greek food. I remember when I was younger, we would make Kourabiedes together. We would make pastiscio, panakopita, just a lot of traditional Greek foods. Every year for Thanksgiving, she would make avgolemono soup. And every year for Easter, we would make the Easter pita, and for New Year's, we would make the New Year's pita. So growing up, culturally, I ate a lot of Greek food, just like from living with my grandma. So I guess that's kind of culturally like where these Kourabiedes come from for me.
And also many different kind of cookies or dishes through the world. They are the same or similar with different names, and it could be different variations. So these cookies, I know them since I was a child. I love them. I ate them during winter time, Christmas, and they are the same cookies with a different name. So that's what we pick the Kourabiedes or Polvorones.
Yeah, because they translate to multiple cultures. The only difference with polvorones is that they don't necessarily have almonds in them, and they're also just shaped differently. But other than that, it's almost like the exact same cookie. So.
Cool. That's amazing that there's different connections to different cultures. Anybody on this call feel like they have a version of this cookie in their culture? Marilyn, is this similar to the mandel bread, or is
No,
it?
not at all.
Okay.
I think Nancy, hey Nancy, I think she makes these cookies.
I think
Right.
it's very similar probably to the Kourabiedes that I make, which again, my ancestry is Turkish and Greek. So it's probably very similar.
My question for everybody is how your families pass down recipes. Is there like an old and worn card that's been given to you, or is it just by word of mouth and it gets slightly altered generation to generation?
I have cards passed down, a handful of this and a pinch of that, and stuff, which we converted. So I have all these recipes from my grandmother, who'd pass it down to my mother and then passed it down to me.
That's really special. I love that. I was, before the pandemic, I used to go to different flea markets, and I always got really excited when I would see like old postcards or old recipe cards from different families. That always really inspired me. My family has some written down, but unfortunately a lot of it was all like in people's minds. And so we eventually got it written down, but it was on like scraps of paper. So not as much as we should have. Anyone else want to share a story?
I think I'm similar to you, Julia. I think a lot of ours were in people's heads. And then at some point when we went to visit my aunts or my grandparents or, anybody like that, my parents started writing it down. So now we have a green recipe book that's like my mom's Bible, where it's just written down everything ever.
Yeah.
And then, try to get as much down as possible. But I think there's still a lot of a pinch of this, a pinch of that, that I struggle with because I need an exact measurement of exactly how many tablespoons, and you know.
And I don't use any measurements,
Yeah.
so we always argue about that.
I don't like a pinch.
That sounds like
definitely struggle too when there aren't exact measurements.
Yeah, I think we can all relate. I'm seeing some heads nodding.
everybody that's cooking along. How are you keeping up? How is it going?
Good.
Good. Thumbs up is good. All right, Michelle, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm slicing the almonds, but now actually I'm about to go. I'm gonna stop the mixer and scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure all the butter is being fully whipped. So I'll do that right now. And as you can see, it's a much lighter color now. So it's definitely getting there. I'm gonna grab my trusty spatula and just scrape everything off of the sides to make sure everything is being incorporated into the mixture. So I'm just scraping. Especially with these mixtures, I find that there's a little ring in the bottom where stuff can sometimes get kind of stuck. So yes. I probably should have grabbed a larger spatula because this one is a very adorable but very small one, but it's okay. We'll make it work. Yeah, so now I'm just gonna put it back on the mixer to continue whipping. So yes. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and scrape it to make sure I don't waste anything. Because I don't want to waste anything. That's pretty good, I guess. And so now I'm going to put it back down and let it continue mixing while I finish chopping up the almonds.
What kind of chop are you doing your almonds?
Honestly, like, it's all personal preference. I personally like mine in a little bit larger chunks, but if you don't really like the texture of the nuts in the cookies, then you can always just put them into a blender and just like grind them up that way, and that works as well. So it's really all up to you.
Thank you.
No wrong answer.
Do you have a chopping bowl and a chopper? That's how I always chop things. It goes faster.
I mean,
you know what I'm talking about? My mother, I still have my mother's chopper, and you just go do it in a bowl.
Yeah. I think I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but
I'll go see if I can find it.
That's what I use too.
Yeah, Mom, I was gonna say,
Remember
is that what we
you
use for
chop
haroset? How we chop
haroset,
haroset with the nuts?
A wooden bowl. But we don't have a mixer, so how can we make this?
Hey,
We don't
Michelle,
really have a mixer like that.
hey, Michelle, how many cookies do you usually get out of this recipe?
yeah, I mean, normally I'd say probably around maybe like 20 to 30, depending on how big you make them. I mean, the thing that I like about this recipe is that it's very easy to scale up. So I've made these cookies for a presentation at school where I was talking about kind of international food, and I made them in like a 2-pound batch where I had like 100 cookies or something, because the ratios in this recipe are so like straightforward and I guess simple in a sense. It's really easy to just like scale up or scale down. So
you can use this one too.
Yeah, I have one of those too. I like this because you could control how big you make it too. This was my mother's.
Wow.
Wow, that's cool. You should send us a picture, Nancy, and we can feature it on our Instagram.
Oh, I would if I knew how.
Okay, we'll talk after. We'll make.
Okay.
Did we answer Marilyn's question? I just stepped away for a moment.
No.
Okay, so what do we think? Emmy and Alana, you want to read it out loud for Michelle?
Sure. Marilyn wants to know, if you don't have a mixer, could you mix by hand or use a hand mixer? I think the
You
rest
can totally use a hand mixer. You can whip the butter by hand, although that does require a lot more manual labor. But yeah, a hand mixer totally works.
Right. So glad we got that here. While we are getting everything set, I have big hopes for this recipe when we do it by ourselves in our first practice round. And I wanted to know what everyone's greatest baking success, and for fun, everyone's greatest baking mishap. I have some of those in mind. I think our biggest baking success, do you think it was when we made that cake? Sure, she says sure. And the biggest baking mishap was when I was much younger and my mom and I tried to make flan, and I was tasked with watching the stove and I forgot. It worked out.
My biggest baking mishap was I was trying to bake cupcakes with my grandma, and it was in a kit, and the kit only had 4 cupcake wrappers, but the recipe was for 8 cupcakes, but I didn't read it. So I doubled the recipe, and it made like super heavy cupcakes, and they weren't edible. Does anyone else have a baking mishap or success they want to share?
Well, I have a mishap when I first started baking cakes, and I had been baking them for a while, and my cousin was getting married and wanted me to bake her cake. So I believe it was a 5-tier cake, and I had taken some, if you heard of Wilton, I had taken some of Wilton's cake decorating classes. So I felt comfortable and, confident that I can do this cake. And it was a 5-tier cake. We got the cake done. And I lived at that time about an hour away from where the reception and wedding was gonna be at. And not really knowing that you don't stack a 5-tier cake while you're in transport, I did that. So when we got to the clubhouse, the cake had, shook and shook and shook on the way and started to fall. We got it into the event hall and took it apart. And the short end of, ending a long story, it ended up being a 2-tier cake because it had collapsed in the middle. So the good part of it was, had you not seen the cake going down, you would not have known that it was starting out to be a 5-tier cake because it still looked good. So I had my husband and my children helping get this cake back together. So
there was still cake, I think that's a success.
Yeah.
So my greatest success was a few days ago I made French macaroons, and it came out perfect. And my one that turned out wrong, I was making a cake for my sister's birthday, and I made the icing too thick because I made it from scratch, and I tore the cake apart. So then I had to go back to the store and I had to make like 3 more layers to fix it.
A lot of mishaps seem to have to do with cake. It seems much easier than it is in execution. I think when I was saying that we had a success with cake, it was not a cake like anything y'all were trying to do. It was like 2 inches tall, 1 tier, and I was just impressed that we made something.
We used a cake mix too.
Yeah, it was not that difficult. But celebrate the little things, right? Always good.
I have a baking mishap. I just remembered it from college when I was in the dorms. I bought this, the ice cream. What was it? It was like cookie dough ice cream or some type of ice cream. it was Ben and Jerry's cookie dough. So my roommate and I took the cookie dough pieces and we thought we could bake them in the oven just like regular cookie dough. It did not work out at all. They just came out with like completely burnt little things. They didn't increase at all. They didn't get bigger.
That's funny though, actually.
I've always wondered about that. I'm so glad you tested it for me.
You would think it worked. It's cookie dough. Why not? But
you know, it was like a personal low budget episode of Mythbusters. Someone had to do it.
Yeah.
For sure. Did anyone want to share? If not, I definitely have more mishaps.
Let's go. It looks like Michelle and Blanca have an update for us. How is it going? I wish we could zoom in and see your see everything more. I'm gonna spotlight you guys for a minute, but it looks amazing. Tell us what's happening.
I did it here. So that is still mixing. I'm getting close to finishing chopping the almonds. One of the reasons that I like to chop the almonds is because it gives me something to do while I'm waiting for the butter to whip. Which is why if you're using a hand mixer, it may make more sense to just like grind them up or put them in a blender instead. So yeah, that's about where we're at currently. So I'm not sure if you had any other questions that I didn't hear. The mixer is a little bit loud, so.
Oh, Sandra wants to know if you could use a large whisk if you don't have a mixer.
I mean, you probably can. I've never tried it that way, but yeah, I mean, you can probably use a large whisk, or in that case, it might be a bit easier to use like a silicone spatula instead to whip the butter, since it's not like since it's like, I guess, more firm. So I think in that case, if you're whipping the butter by hand, I'd recommend doing it with like a larger spoon or like silicone spatula.
No, I was saying you also could use a whisk. I've done that before. The butter has to be really soft, but you can use a whisk.
All right, cool. So we have a yes on that. I'm glad someone tested the theory. Marilyn wants to know. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not. Sorry?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah. My mom was just saying that it's very important for the butter to be at room temperature.
It'll definitely make the job easier too if you're doing it by hand. And Marilyn wants to know if you could buy chopped almonds instead of chopping them. I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I feel like I have more mishaps than she has. She's more of the pro. I don't know if y'all know us, but she's much more organized and efficient, and things go well. Amazingly, for that reason.
So I did have one mishap though. I tried making fudge. There was a class that I tried to take. So I signed up for it and I watched it, but I used like too much chocolate or something, and the fudge was super like dense. But it still tasted good.
Yeah,
so.
we ate it anyhow. I think it was okay. It was not traditional fudge, but I think sometimes there needs to be a spin on things. And we love chocolate in this house, so anything resembling fudge was going to get eaten.
But I'm always up for an adventure.
She is, which is what I love about you. I feel like baking successes, also just like we taught, I don't know if any of y'all were there for it, we taught a pumpkin muffins class a couple of weeks ago, and that's like a staple around here, and we always love doing that. So that was a good time. Yeah. I like them a lot. We've been making them extra because it's like fall Thanksgiving season, but I think I'm gonna make sure that keeps happening into the winter because they're just so good. I was going to ask on that note if anybody had a favorite Thanksgiving or holiday food. I feel like pumpkin muffins would probably be my favorite Thanksgiving food, but I'm also like a big gravy girl. I just like gravy on all the things. Did you have one in mind, or do you want to?
I like a lot.
She likes a lot too. All right. Well, if anybody wants to share their favorite holiday food, I would love to hear about it.
Are we talking about Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Your call. Your call. Whatever really speaks to you.
On Christmas Eve, one of the only restaurants that is open is the sushi place right next to our house. So we always eat sushi on Christmas Eve.
That's fun. I like that. We get Chinese food on Christmas a lot too. So that's a fun tradition for us.
I make poppy seed cheese muffins for Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
They're really good. Remember, Amanda?
They are really good. Yeah, I'm gonna miss them this year.
You might miss them because we're ordering out. We're ordering in this year, not cooking.
That's smart.
I have a cooking mishap. It's not a baking mishap. The first time I made a turkey, I cooked it with that plastic bag in the middle with all the stuff inside. Because I didn't know what that was, and that was a big mishap.
It's tough, you know? How could you have known? How could you have known?
I mean, not the first time I ever made a turkey. So
in there. I mean, cooking for Thanksgiving is a big undertaking anyway, and I don't know how anybody gets through it. Like, I just imagine it's so frazzling. My grandma likes to make a lot of food on Thanksgiving. She's like the biggest cook in our family anyway. So I'm missing her extra this Thanksgiving.
One thing this is reminding me of that my grandma used to make at Thanksgiving that I maybe I'll do this year, is some kind of like cranberry jello mold with mandarin oranges and almonds in it. And it was always like the strangest thing. I never really understood it, but I loved it and it tasted so good. And we would always like fight for the last bite of it. And I think I might make it this year. I haven't had it in a really long time and I don't know even how to make it or if we have the recipe, but this will inspire me to go seek it out.
It's definitely worth a try. I feel like.
Yeah. How are our cookies doing? The people who are making them and our hosts.
Yeah, we're getting close. I just have one more little bunch of almonds to chop, and then we will go to the next step. The butter is looking like it's getting there. Very nice and fluffy and whipped, which is what it's supposed to look like. So I think that the timing will be pretty good in terms of whipping the butter.
Did anybody else have a mishap or favorite Thanksgiving or holiday food they wanted to share? I'm definitely also partial to mashed potatoes with the gravy. Like if I had to choose gravy with a thing, it would be the mashed potatoes. And my grandma makes sweet potato casserole, which is always really special. I like that a lot. Anybody else? Well, I also thought I could share my favorite memory of cooking with someone. And I'm not like trying to be sappy or anything. But honestly, every time I cook with her is my favorite time. Yeah, you don't have to say the same thing back, but you do. So if anybody else wants to share their favorite cooking memory and who it was with, that would be super fun.
Oh, our favorite cooking memory? Let me think. What would you say is our favorite cooking? I mean,
I'd say one of my favorite cookies memories is to find out that my mother-in-law was telling me about these special cookies. And she spent a long time preparing them. And when she showed me what it was, and I tried them, I found out that it was the same cookies that I used to be as a child.
Well, I don't know what my favorite cooking memory is. I have a lot of them. I mean, maybe I'll just go through a few, but I remember a few years ago during Christmas, my grandma from Mexico was in town along with one of my cousins from Germany. And we sat there and we all made tamales together. And I remember that was a lot of fun. I mean, I have plenty of other ones that I really enjoy. I feel like it's hard for me to pick just one, but that's one that definitely comes to mind. So
That sounds like so much fun. We miss, you know, cooking and eating with you guys a lot.
oh yeah, we miss you guys too. We hope to be able to cook and spend time with you soon in the future.
Same. High-key same. But you know, I guess for now we gotta settle, and this is pretty good. I mean, if I do say so myself, I am the host. But I think this is a pretty good time.
Amanda, remember we used to make Kourabiedes?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that
That was a cooking memory.
the three of us, and yeah, my mom and I and my sister used to make Kourabiedes, a Jewish dish for Passover with apples and walnuts and wine, cinnamon, and you use that nutcracker, the nut cutter that Nancy had up. You use that to mix it all in. Yeah.
That's fun. There's so many memories of cooking with family, of cooking with friends. I have a fun memory growing up of having some friends over and learning how to cook their traditional food. So Powerol knows that I have a very good friend whose family's from Thailand, Lindley. And once I think she came over and she taught us how to make this Thai basil dish, except it was very, very spicy. And my family had to drink a lot of extra water, and it was interesting to learn about how different cultures flavor dishes differently. And so the Levy family could not handle spice, and we toned it back a little bit, but that's something that we've acquired a stronger ability to handle. So Indian food does it tend to be spicy, Parul?
Yes. It does, absolutely. And my tolerance for spice has gone way down. So it's been kind of a struggle. But I think also it depends on the region. So
I think South, especially in one particular state, they eat really hot food compared to other states. But still, it depends on the family too. They do eat little spicy, and it's more spices than it's like hot.
Oh, it's both.
I know it's both, but it's not like Thai pepper.
Yeah, so I think it depends. The part of India that my dad is from tends to
Mild.
They go mild, and they actually go a little bit sweet. So it's like a sweet savory mix in a lot of dishes. And then the part of India that my mom is from is near where the super spicy region is from.
Yeah.
So
it's little. They don't go for sweetness in their cooking, in all the curries. In my husband's part of country, they put sugar or brown sugar or something like that. But whereas from where I come from, they don't put too much of sweet in their cooking. So
I visited relatives and had a tough time.
Yeah.
Catch us up with where you're at real quick.
Yes. So right now I stopped the mixer. I stopped the butter, and now I'm mixing the dry ingredients together, and I'm putting them through a sifter. You don't have to put yours through a sifter. I just personally like it because it can help to get rid of any chunks in like powdered sugar or in the flour, especially if your powdered sugar has been sitting for a while or if it's like a little bit older. So it helps kind of repowder it in a sense again. So yeah, I put it in a large bowl with the chopped almonds, and next I'm gonna put in the flour as well. And then I'm just gonna stir it all together with a whisk to combine all the dry ingredients. And then after there, I will slowly add it into the butter mixture, but I will go through that as I do as well. So right now I'm putting in my 1/2 cup of powdered sugar and my 5 cups of flour. Yes, into a large mixing bowl.
So everybody that's cooking along, you get that. And if not, you can let us know by coming off mute or send something in the chat and we'll make sure anything gets sorted out. Darko wants to know if it's icing sugar or crystal sugar.
I mean, I just like I can show you like on the bag that I have it just says powdered sugar, but I mean I think both work because I've seen recipes for Kourabiedes with icing sugar and others with powdered sugar. I mean I think both really work, so they both add sweetness. Plus the thing is that there are some Kourabiedes recipes that don't even have any sugar in the dough, so.
I think it's really cool that, like, despite this cookie being, you know, having different names in different places, you can make it your own no matter what.
Yeah.
That's something really special. I think I used to like really, really sweet stuff a lot more when I was little, and now I can't handle it. Now I'm 20 now, and now I don't eat icing that comes with cake. I just eat the cake. And I never thought this day would come, but here we are.
No, yeah, I get that. I'm the same way. Because when I was younger, I used to love like all like the American cake recipes and stuff, and now I can barely stand them. So now, especially recently with like the quarantine and stuff, I've been getting a lot more into cooking German cakes and German cake recipes because they have a lot less sugar. So I personally like them a lot better.
I might have to try one of those out, huh?
Oh yes, I have, because I have friends and family members that ask me to translate the recipes for them. So I have like a whole list of translated German cake recipes that I can send you if you would like.
That would be fun. I feel like we could like compile a cookbook of like 4 evolving tastes, like people who are new to not liking super sugary things anymore.
Yeah.
This is how you adjust. Here's what you might like now. I think that would be fun and helpful.
Yeah, we've been thinking a lot about, at first during quarantine, we're like, let's be extra decadent and have, you know, really sweet and sugary things. And then also now we've evolved and we're like, okay, well, maybe instead of flour, we could use ground oatmeal. And maybe instead of oil, we could use Greek yogurt. And so, Sandra, I see your idea. I think it would be really fun to like share some healthy-ish recipes, but also the decadent because everybody needs a balance. But I've been really into baking a lot with almond butter, and that's been really, really good and a little healthier, but who knows? I made a pumpkin.
Sorry
bread.
to interrupt, but real quick, so I've combined the dry ingredients, so now I'm gonna slowly add them into the butter mixture and have the mixer on a low setting, and I'll probably add in around half the dry ingredients first, and then I'll slowly add in the second half. So that's where I'm at right now. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good. We got to hear your expertise. Quick, while you are putting everything in a little bit at a time, Marilyn wanted to know if you have a good recipe to share for, I don't know how to pronounce that. Do you want to give it your best shot, or I feel like I'm putting you in the hot seat?
A good recipe to share?
For a specific kind of cake that I definitely can't pronounce.
It's a Gugelhof cake.
Yeah.
It's a German bun cake, Austrian bun cake.
I feel like I should have just like taken my best shot. I feel like I got it.
Oh, like a bundt cake?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with those. I actually haven't gotten to making one of those, but I am familiar with them. I don't have a recipe, but I'm sure I can probably find one. I mean, because I have like a whole list of like German recipes that I want to try. I personally like the kind of more fruity ones, so I really like strawberry cake or Erdbeerkuchen. I really like Mandarinenkuchen or like mandarin cake with walnuts. I also really like a Beerenmousse-Torte. So I have a nice recipe where it's like a chocolate cake and then almost like a berry mousse type thing on the top. I mean, yeah, I personally like the fruitier cakes. So I haven't actually tried the bun cake yet, but if I come across a recipe, I can send it.
I mean,
back.
I actually have one. I thought maybe you'd have one, but I wrote a book sort of about that. And there's a German baker in Atlanta who's the only one who makes it. And he gave me his recipe. So I can pass that on to Julia. We've never
Oh, yeah,
made one.
sure.
Every time I go talk about it, I order it from him. But
Oh, yeah.
I could make it myself, I guess.
I'd love to try it.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be fun. Maybe we can cook the book kind of recipe and book talk.
We've tasted it, right, Amanda, when we went to Munich.
Yeah,
They
near us
make
there's
it.
a really good one. I guess it's called Cafe Gugelhof.
Right. It's delicious.
Mhm.
All right, everybody taking along. Are y'all caught up? Are y'all feeling good? Let me see some thumbs up. I gotta go to full view.
I was gonna say one of a nice cooking memory for me. It was when John Michel was cooking with John Alana, and the chef was a Swiss friend, and they were preparing Swiss bread. That was very lovely.
That's a favorite memory of mine too.
Oh yeah, I also really cherish that memory.
Mackenzie and Sydney, how are y'all doing?
I think ours is ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Michelle, do you see that consistency?
Yes.
Just looking something like that?
Yes. Yes, I can show you ours right now.
Okay.
It's looking like this. I'm gonna use a spatula to mix in the last little bit of dry ingredient, just because sometimes it can get too thick for the mixer and I don't want to strain it too much, because then it can overheat and no está sí.
You can use the red one there.
Hold that one second. So I have a wooden spoon and I'm just gonna mix this in a little bit, and then you can even like knead it with your hands a little bit. The one thing with kneading it with your hands though is that because it is like very much like butter based, it can like melt the butter a little bit, and then the dough can get like a little bit like soft and sticky. So that's why I prefer to like at least try and combine it with the spoon a little bit at first at the beginning. And then once you do finish your dough, it should be in a consistency where like you can shape it and it keeps its shape very well and it isn't like too mushy and stuff. But it shouldn't be like, I guess almost like clay. Like it should be holding its shape, but it shouldn't be like crumbling at all. And if it is crumbling a little bit, you can add like a little bit of water. If you don't think that it's firm enough, you can add a little bit more flour. So
those are good tips. I really appreciate doing classes like this because then I learn why I shouldn't do the things I would definitely do. Like I wouldn't think not to knead it with my hands because of the butter. So I think it's those little life hacks that make the big difference.
well, because eventually you're gonna warm them up when you shape them with your hands, because we're gonna shape them into little half moons. So
yeah. I suppose though you could make them into any shape, right?
Yeah, I know polvorones are like more of like a round shape, but traditionally Kourabiedes are put more into like a half moon type shape, almost like a short banana.
You think that they would cook through if you made like a sculpture out of the dough? Like if you made like, I don't know, a tiny giraffe, you think it would cook all the way through?
Well, I think that's actually one of the reasons why they put it in kind of like a long round shape, because you're not supposed to cook them too long. Like
gotcha.
You take them out before they get golden brown. So it's very important that it's kind of like small enough that it can cook through on the inside before it starts getting brown on the outside.
So something else I would have done that I shouldn't do. Good notes. All good notes. All right. How is it going? Is everybody cooking along, getting ready to shape them? Feeling good? Let's see. Go to get great.
I love the efficient cleaning up as you cook and bake. That's very impressive. Not my strength.
Not ours either. Well, she tries. She tries.
So right now, I'll put like a here. So I'm forming the dough because the dough is still a little bit crumbly looking in the bowl, but that's fine because as you bring it together with your hands, it'll kind of warm up the butter a little bit. So it'll make sure it all sticks together. So here I have a ball in my hand. I'd say it's probably around the size of like a golf ball or a ping pong ball. And then from there, you just kind of squeeze it in the middle and just put it into the crescent moon shape. So I like to do it on a hard surface here. That's one of the nice things about the dough is that it doesn't really like stick to your hands or stick to surfaces because it's, I guess, like, it's just not a sticky dough, I think because of the butter. So here you can see one of my half moon shaped cookies. So I'm gonna put it on the pan and I'm just gonna keep going and shaping the dough until all the dough is into the cookies.
How do you decide on the shape? Like what makes it half moon? Is that just the style or do you know the history behind why?
I mean, I don't know like the history or reasoning behind why, but I do know like that's just traditionally how they're made. So
How's everybody doing? Sandra, doing good? Yeah.
A little difficult making these croissant, the shapes, so I might end up making them round, but.
I mean, yeah, that works too. Then you just have polvorones instead.
They all taste the same no matter what shape.
Yeah. Either way, they'll taste good.
Unless they're a giraffe, then they won't taste the same. This is what we learned. I think Mackenzie and Sydney are baking along and probably shaping right now, but I don't think anyone else is baking along in the moment.
Yours are nicer than mine.
Look at that, looking great.
Good. Yeah, hold it up. Oh, wow.
Yeah, those are good. Wow.
These are ours so far. How long will they bake for?
They don't bake long, usually around 10 minutes, although I check them after 5 to 7 just to make sure, because once they start to get even like the tiniest bit golden brown, that's when it's time to take them out. So
You want to be extra careful with them.
yeah, because if you overcook them, then they get like kind of that it isn't good. As I know from experience.
Gotcha. I literally had a dream last night that I made a cinnamon chocolate chip cookie, and I also dreamed that I was doing something else, I don't remember what, but I left them in the oven for longer than I intended, and I was like, oh no, my cookies. But I think they came out okay in the dream state. There were 5 cookies and 4 of them came okay, and one of them came out more like hot chocolate, but I was okay with that too, I guess. I shared them with you. Even dream me shared with you. Maybe I should have had more snacks before I went to bed. I was thinking a lot about food.
I would love to have dreams about cookies and food.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I remember a lot of my dreams, but this was one of the more fun ones, for sure.
Maybe I should read recipes before bed. Anybody having any crazy food or quarantine dreams? That'll be another class, cooking in our dreams.
That's crazy.
I will say I have had the weirdest dreams during this time. Like I have relived moments of my life. I have forgotten like to take a class that I needed to graduate from high school. Like it's just really, really funny and strange. So I should have started a dream journal, but now they keep accumulating. But now I'm gonna try to have food dreams instead.
I feel like I should make a dream journal too. My biggest problem though is like sometimes I don't remember it the moment I wake up. I remember that it happened a few hours later, and then I have to sort out whether it was happening in real life or not. Like, I mean, it was possible. Maybe I had made cinnamon chocolate chip cookies, even though I've never heard of that before. I'm sure a recipe exists somewhere. Maybe
yeah, that just sounds like the Mexican hot chocolate, because in the Mexican hot chocolate, they put cinnamon and spice and stuff. So maybe it was Mexican hot chocolate cookies.
Maybe it was telling me I needed to get some of that. Yeah. That sounds good. I'm excited about hot chocolate season.
Can these cookies be frozen?
Yeah, you can freeze after you shape them. You can put them in the freezer and then take them out and let them thaw and bake them whenever you want.
I love to freeze things and then discover them later and have a treat.
Yeah, we do discover them later. We never remember that we put them in. It's good. It's like that joke about like when men get food in their mustache, it's saved for later, but we put it in the fridge on purpose. We just forget about it. I feel like what else have we been into making lately? What other like seasonal foods? Pumpkin bread you like a lot, but pumpkin bread isn't that different from pumpkin muffins. I don't know what else.
I feel like my baking doesn't really
Revolve around
go
the
with
seasons.
the seasons, but
Yeah, you can bake these anytime. Like Michelle and Blanca said, these are more holiday cookies, but we can make them anytime.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of your other food traditions in your family with such a unique background? The Greek influence, the other amazing countries that your family's connected to. Would you be able to share anything about other food?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of like holidays, like it's kind of interesting because for a lot of the holidays we celebrate them like very much in a Greek way, even though neither of my parents are like actually like even though like none of my family is actually like born and raised in Greek except for like a couple like cousins, like moreover like, but like none of our direct family is from Greek. But like for New Year's and for Easter we make vasilopita. We also usually make Kourabiedes. That's the vasilopita. And then for Easter we do it very much in like a Greek way, where we dye all of our eggs red, like this very like blood red color. It's very much like an Orthodox Greek tradition. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, those are the big ones that come to mind. Maybe it's just because I'm thinking of Greek food right now. For Thanksgiving, I think I mentioned this earlier, we make avgolemono soup. Can you say
No, I was going to say for Christmas, we celebrate the German culture that is my husband with the Christmas foods.
So, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Honestly, sometimes I forget that like certain things that we do are like not considered like normal in American culture. But yeah, we make a German like Greek Christmas goose.
With red cabbage.
Yes, with red cabbage. We make that every year. I mean, the thing is that throughout the year, like a lot of times for breakfast, I'll have huevos con frijoles, which is like a very traditional Mexican thing. I also eat a lot of quesadillas with like chicken and salsa verde. Every now and again, we'll have guacamole, but that isn't very much like That's more just like normal food for me, not very much like a special occasion type thing. Although every now and again we'll have we'll have huevos con chorizo, and I really enjoy those. Whenever my aunt visits from Mexico, she always brings us pastelitos. So we actually have like a whole like carton full of them right now. So
Having shared so many holidays with you, there are other things that I don't realize are like not traditionally American. They're just like traditionally us because
yeah.
So I totally feel that actually.
We love Passover.
Oh yes,
We
yes.
mean Passover.
Because every year, technically, like my family, like we are all different denominations of Christian, but Christian nonetheless. But normally every year we would actually go to Passover, and so we really enjoy that. I mean, I feel like I know that I remember like always really loving the matzo ball soup.
Oh yeah,
matzo ball soup.
Nothing better. Nothing better.
Or and then
does
like the apple cinnamon walnut mix that you have with the matzah.
Mhm.
I
I know
really enjoy that too.
Passover misses you too. And I remember how Nathan doesn't like the matzo balls as much, so he always gives me mine every year. And I'm gonna miss that this year. I think it'll be okay that I have one less matzo ball. I think it will be fine. We'll get through it, right?
Yes.
How many cookies have you been able to shape so far out of that dough?
How many have we made?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we've made a lot of that so far. So I think my 20 to 30 cookies was a very much underestimate. I think it's probably
32.
closer to 30 to 40.
It's got 32, so I think it's almost finished.
Yeah, we have about this much dough left. So we're nearing the end.
The more it makes in one batch, the better. It's just easier that way, right?
Yes, I mean, we have a lot of people in our house right now. Because we have a couple cousins staying with us. Because that's one of the things a lot of times people will talk about like freezing food and like making a large batch and eating it. But I've actually never really like frozen like cookies and stuff like that before, because like I have like a large family with multiple brothers that are capable of eating very large sums of food. And so normally like even if I make like 50 cookies, like within the next like couple of days, they'll all be gone. So
No waste at the Riemann house.
yeah. One of the reasons why I'm used to making so much food is because normally like I have to make stuff in very large batches to make sure I even get some. Or else it's gone before I even like have time to go and try it. So
Sandra, how is the shaping going?
Good. Listen.
Oh, look at that. They're so pretty. Oh, and you said you were worried about it. I don't believe that for a minute, Sandra.
I was worried. I came out okay. Hopefully they'll stay together when they're starting to bake.
They definitely should. They look great.
Thanks.
Of course. Now, what temperature do you set the oven at for this?
our oven is currently set at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So
all right.
And then the other thing that's great about this dough is that a lot of times, like sometimes people use an egg yolk, a lot of people don't use an egg yolk. And if you don't use an egg yolk, it's actually edible cookie dough. So, I mean, I have an egg yolk in mine, but I'll probably still eat some of it.
That's a life hack for me. I like edible cookie dough a lot. I eat that stuff by the bowl. I'm not gonna lie to you. Although I hadn't tried to bake it. I think with having so many, I would have tried to bake it, like Amanda.
Yeah, as long as it's the right kind.
Yeah, yeah.
Not from the ice cream.
So once the cookies go in the oven, how long do they cook for?
I'd say probably around 10 minutes, but it's important to check them probably after 5 to 7 minutes just to make sure that they aren't getting golden brown, because once they even start getting like a pale golden brown, you want to take them out. And then the thing with these cookies is that they don't have a lot of sugar in the dough. So when you eat the cookie dough, it tastes very much not sweet, but that's how it's supposed to be, because the next step, once we take them out of the oven, here you can see our large tray of cookies. You actually roll them in powdered sugar after they cool for a little bit. And so then that's the final product. So that's why we put the powdered sugar to the side at the beginning. So I'm gonna go put them in the oven right now, and then I'll be right back.
I'm gonna put the timer 5 minutes.
Did anybody have some final questions for Blanca and Michelle? I actually feel like I could do this pretty confidently. I don't want to like get ahead of myself, but I feel like when I try this, I'm gonna be equipped with lots of tips, and it could go well on the first try. You think so? She's like, yeah, maybe. All right. Did we have somebody in the chat? Marilyn wants to know where the egg yolk went in originally.
Oh, the egg yolk went in at the same time with the vanilla extract as we were whipping the butter. But if you don't put in an egg yolk, that's fine. I mean, a lot of people don't put in any egg. There are some Greek people that will yell at you if you put eggs into kourabiedes. It really just depends. So, yeah. In that case, your dough may be a little bit more crumbly, so you may just want to add a little bit more water to make sure you can really form it well.
Good.
Do you dip it once in the sugar or twice when it's done? Just one dip in the sugar when they're warm?
Well, you want to you take them out of the oven and then you let them cool for a few minutes, and then just so that you don't burn yourself when you touch them, and then you just kind of coat them completely in the sugar. So you just put them in once.
Oh, okay.
So here we have our bowl that we're going to use with our powdered sugar once they finish to coat them. And even though this is a cup of powdered sugar, it's always nice to have a little bit extra handy in case you start running low. So I have my bag of powdered sugar here, just in case. So yes, but right now we have to wait for them to bake.
Right.
Does anyone who is cooking along want to show us where they are?
They might be in the oven. It was a good idea.
Yeah, I think we have Sandra, Mackenzie, and Sydney who are cooking along. Oh, we've got a lot of dough.
So mine's in the oven also. I just put mine in the oven.
Cool. Did you bake them on baking paper, Michelle?
Oh yeah, we put baking paper. I mean, you don't have to use baking paper. You can use a greased pan. Honestly, I don't think they even really stick to the pan if you don't grease the pan, because they very much aren't sticky and kind of like keep their form in the oven. That's why it's important for the dough to be so firm, because these cookies aren't supposed to like expand or melt that much, if at all, when you put them in the oven, even though it's such a high butter content, which is why it's so important for the dough to be like so thick and kind of clay-like, because you don't want it to melt because of all the butter. I mean, I use parchment paper because then I don't have to clean the tray, but either way it works.
That's quite an outfit you got working.
Sorry. That looks great. Are they ready to go in the oven? Yes? All right.
No, ours are done.
Oh, they're done.
They're done.
Let's see here. Ooh, yeah, those look great.
I got
How do
some
they
that are
taste?
round, and I put powdered sugar on these ones. They're just round ones.
Oh yeah, those look good.
So how long did you keep yours in the oven,
So these took about mine 12 or 13 minutes at 350.
Thanks.
It tastes good though.
That's what we like to hear.
And the other thing is that with these cookies, if you are someone that likes kind of like sweeter American pastries, like whenever I use an American recipe, I usually cut down the sugar by like 2/3. So I use like 1/3, a maximum of 1/2 of the suggested sugar in American recipes. So these cookies aren't going to be like super sweet. So if you do like ones that are super sweet, then I'd recommend putting in some more sugar. Again, it's all personal preference, which is one of the other things I really like about these cookies, because it's so easy to just kind of like make them like personal to you and to like your own personal preferences, I guess.
That's very cool. We can't wait to try them out. Huh?
Yeah, and as you bake, take pictures and you can tag us and we'd love to reshare. I know Mackenzie, we do that a lot when you bake with us. So Sandra, if you want to, that's more than welcome.
All of your baking success. And hopefully my baking success.
Well, as we're waiting for Michelle and Blanca, am I saying your name right? I want to make sure. Blanca, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for helping me pronounce your name properly. I thought if it's okay, Emmy and Alana, as we're kind of waiting, maybe we'll round it out with a bit of a gratitude since we have Thanksgiving coming up, and you know, people, there's a lot of things that are worrisome in our world right now, but we also can have a lot to be grateful for, like experiences like this. So we can do it kind of how we did it at the beginning. So I can kick us off and popcorn to someone else, but I'm grateful for the ability to connect and reconnect with friends during this time. So I'm going to give a shout out to Parul because we grew up together and we've kept in touch, but not as much as we should have and we would have liked, but we've seen each other a few times. But we had a really nice conversation last Sunday, and you know, it wasn't under the best circumstances, but it was really nice that we were able to, you know, find each other again and connect. And so I'm grateful for moments like that, even though we can't be together in person. So thanks, Parul. And I'll popcorn to you if you want to share a grateful moment and then pick someone else. And then Michelle and Blanca, let us know when they come out of the oven, and Sandra too. And then we'll kind of speed this along. But Parul.
Well, I definitely agree with you, Julia. I'm so sorry that I know we haven't been able to keep in touch as well as I would have hoped, but I am glad that we're able to reconnect every time you come out here to DC or whenever I come back there. And I am grateful for the conversation that we had, and I'm sorry why that had to happen, but you know, I hope
If
that
I cut a little piece of apple, would you?
Yeah.
Because you know, I've already.
Sorry, that's the challenge of Zoom. And just for everybody else, so we're not too cryptic. Parul and I had a high school friend who tragically passed away, and so that was the reason we wound up having a conversation. So not to be too, we don't want to talk too much about it, but anyways, keep going, Parul.
But no, I hope this does force us to you know, connect to everybody that we kind of not forget about, but get a little bit busy and lose track of along the way. So I do want to piggyback off of that and just say I'm grateful that despite the horrible circumstances for everyone with a pandemic, I think it's bringing a lot of families closer together. It's bringing a lot of family time. It's, you know, friends are getting closer together. You're kind of keeping up with people that, you know, maybe you haven't had the chance to, you know, do as much with. And so I am grateful that we've been able to share that with, you know, just being home and enjoying time together.
That's true.
So
now we have a little time on our hands. I think that's why we are trying to connect with everyone.
Yeah, we're trying to catch up on everything that we've kind of forgotten along the way, whether it's friends and family, hobbies that we've, you know, been meaning to take up, or anything, this time has been horrible. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything positive about the pandemic, but I am grateful to have had the time to kind of, reset a little bit.
And
make the best
spend time together.
Fight.
And fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those quarantine fights,
They
it's
say
not-
fighting means you care.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll pass it to Emmy and Alana.
Well, I'm thankful that I get an extra year with Emmy home because she would have been in college this year if she had
Same.
not been home.
Same. I'm very grateful for my extra year with you. I'm thankful for my given and chosen family. And I'm thankful for all the big hugs I'm going to give to everyone who's not with me right now when we get all together. All right, we can popcorn. Amanda, maybe you want to share?
So because I'm in Germany, my husband and I are here, we wouldn't have been going back home for Thanksgiving anyways, but now that everyone's remote, I think we're going to do a big family Zoom call next weekend, so it'll be really great to see everyone.
That's so exciting. I think actually like forcing to go online allows more inclusion of people who otherwise wouldn't be able to be around. So I think it's made for bigger virtual Thanksgivings than a lot of people used to have in person, which is so cool.
Amanda, you want to pick your mom?
Okay. Mom, I'll popcorn to you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm grateful for my family, but I can't see them for Thanksgiving, or I haven't seen you since March. So I'll be glad when this is all over so we can. Before you left, I gave you a big hug and I said, this is going to be like a war. I might not see you again. And I was right. I won't see you till next August, unless we get the vaccine. Anyway, that's it.
There is a lot of promising news there that we are holding on to, for sure. Good to hear. Michelle and Blanca, how are those cookies doing?
They're looking good. I think they need a little bit longer, but soon they'll be ready to come out of the oven.
Very cool. All right. And it looks like Sandra's checking hers out too.
Anybody else want to share? An iPad, don't know your name, but you will get the directions for sure. That's the goal of our class, is to come together and watch and learn, and then you'll get them.
Sandra, did yours just come out or were you just checking them out?
Just checking them. Look like they may need another 2 or 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
But I'm grateful for family and that my parents are still kind of moving around, even though, my dad he lives by himself. So I'm grateful that he's taking care of himself and not, coming out and catching this stuff. And my mom lives near me, so we kind of keep her in check. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful to have my parents with me too. And I'm grateful my grandparents are moving around out west, too far away from us. But they, they have their fun. They go on their walks now that it's not so blazing hot out there. They track down little lizards in the house. They have a good time. There's still some entertainment. Are they geckos or lizards?
Sandra, you found us through Eventbrite, which is also like a perk of this time, is like we would have class pass, and now I think we've had like 5 or 6 or more classes together, which is really
Yeah, that's, not happy about the pandemic, but I am happy that I was able to find different classes. So going and trying different ethnic groups and stuff, and learning to cook a lot of different foods. I've been cooking a lot of Indian and Thai food. And yeah, Thai is very spicy. So I like the food. So I'm trying to figure out how to not make it quite as spicy. So that's, I'm grateful for that, learning new things and meeting new people. So that's good. I have friends all over the world now.
I know, right? We'll all have a reunion at some point.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It's quite funny. I have, we had a favorite doctor here in the Atlanta area, and I hadn't been to see her in several months. And so I went to call and make an appointment, and I discovered that she moved to Las Vegas. And so I tracked her down and I wrote her a message So the reason I share is if you need a good podiatrist in Las Vegas, I mean, I'm tempted to fly out there for her. She was that good and I miss her.
Wow. Send me her information.
I will.
Send me her. Okay. Yeah.
I will. She was the most patient podiatrist ever. I played soccer as a kid, and so I really messed up my toes. And I need extra podiatry TLC.
Okay. Yeah. Send me her information.
I will. I will. She's great. Anyone else want to share grateful or moment of gratitude? Miriam or Rhonda or Jackie or Darko? Or Michelle and Blanca, if you want to share something.
Oh yeah, of course. We are very grateful to, first of all, to be here today and to be able to make cookies with all of you guys virtually. We are very grateful for all the love that we have with friends and family, or friends that are close enough to be family, I guess. And we're grateful that, or I guess hopeful is a better word, that one day soon we'll all be able to come together in person again. So we're looking forward to that as well.
For all the love and all the memories that we are building together in person or virtual. That have the opportunity to do that.
That's for sure.
And we're so grateful that you came and taught us, and thank you, Emmy and Alana, for bringing you on. And I know we've run a little bit over, so we might spend a couple more minutes together, see the cookies once they come out of the oven for Sandra, and also for Michelle and Blanca, and then
Almost finished.
Yeah.
call it an afternoon or an evening, depending on where you are, or a morning.
That's so crazy to think about. Yeah, thank you to Michelle and Blanca so much for coming. It was so wonderful to have you here, see your faces, and learn all the tips and tricks to Kourabiedes or Polvorones. And we can't wait to make them ourselves.
Oh yes, we are happy to share our experiences and memories with you guys, and recipes.
And maybe in the future we can do it together.
We can't wait. We can't wait.
Yeah, maybe Tradition Kitchens will become a traveling cooking experience in the future, where we go and we visit different people and we learn to cook. We were just in Atlanta, but we'd love to go other places.
A la traveling circus. Very fun. Sandra, yours looking ready?
Let me check again. Yeah, they look pretty. They look okay. Light brown.
They look pretty good.
Very good.
Okay.
Wow, you got the shape great. You were
good. So now do I let them cool on the cookie sheet?
Yeah, that's fine. You can just let it cool for a few minutes and then.
Okay.
Okay. The powder sugar.
Okay, great.
So Michelle, what's your best thought on putting on the powdered sugar after? Do you dip them? Do you like use the sifter? And
What I do is I just put my powdered sugar in a bowl like this, and I place them, and then I flip them, and then I put them out.
Gotcha. So dipping.
And then sometimes if they're a little extra crumbly, they can crumble a bit in the powdered sugar, and in that case, instead of putting on the tray, I just eat the crumbled bits.
Nothing goes to waste, right?
Yes, precisely.
So also we wanted to extend a thank you to everyone who decided to join us and bake along or learn with us today. And it was so wonderful to have you all here. And we're hoping that we'll get to see you again soon. And the next actually Tradition Kitchens class, I think you can hit us up on December 3rd at 7 p.m. to learn how to make toffee matzo crunch with Carol. And okay, you want to go?
We'd also love to thank Julia for giving us this opportunity to be involved with such a cool project. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you both. It's so great. You're making me so happy, bringing such joy to everybody, and we appreciate your great work.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, Michelle and Blanca, do we have a final view of your kitchen that we could get? Otherwise, definitely send us some pictures and we'll post them on Instagram.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
our cookies, I just checked them and they're still not quite firm enough to come out of the oven, but I think that soon they'll be ready and then we'll take them out. So,
Okay,
and
so we'll do
sure
the
to send them pictures.
Yeah, let's do the grand reveal on Instagram and Facebook. So if you follow along with us, and then Emmy and Alana will send out all the details on the recipe.
Yeah.
And
So get ready for that follow-up email. I'll try to make it cute. Thank you so much for coming, everybody, and thank you, Blanca and Michelle, for being
Thank
so
you.
Cheers.
Okay, have a good one.
Thank
And you guys
you.
have a
This
good,
was great.
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Happy
Emmy and
Thanksgiving.
Lana, would you guys send out the selfie?
yes,
Of
we
course.
will.
Yeah, it'll be up on Instagram if that's cool with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll send it via email too.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
See you all. Bye.
Bye.